Have you ever reached for a handful of almonds or tossed some cashews on your salad thinking you were doing something good for your body, only to still feel bloated, sluggish, or like your joints just aren't cooperating anymore? You're not alone. We've all been told nuts are one of the healthiest snacks out there, and sure, they can be. But here's the part no one really talks about. After 60, your body changes in ways that make certain nuts more helpful, and others surprisingly harmful. Let's talk about it heart to heart. Because the truth is, not all nuts are created equal, especially when it comes to aging bodies. What used to sit well in your 40s might now stir up inflammation, mess with your digestion, or even raise your blood pressure. And if you've been trying to eat clean or snack smart, but something still feels off, the answer might be hiding in that nut bowl on your kitchen counter. Now, I'm not here to tell you to cut out nuts altogether, far from it. In fact, some nuts can be powerful allies as we age, supporting brain health, fighting off inflammation, and even helping with weight management. But the key is knowing which ones to lean into and which ones to set aside. And that's where it gets interesting. Let's start with the kind of nut that might surprise you, the beloved cashew, creamy, rich, and often used in everything from snack mixes to plant-based recipes. Cashews are a go-to for many people, but for those of us over 60, cashews can actually be a bit of a troublemaker. Why? Well, they're higher in carbohydrates compared to most other nuts. And they also contain compounds that some sensitive stomachs find harder to digest, especially as our digestive enzymes naturally decline with age. If you've noticed more bloating or discomfort after snacking on cashews, your body might be trying to tell you something. Another one that's tricky? Peanuts. Yes, I know, technically a legume, not a nut, but they're everywhere and often lumped into the same category. Peanuts are affordable and familiar, but they're also one of the most common triggers for inflammation, especially for people with joint issues or mild sensitivities. They're also frequently grown in conditions where mold can develop, leading to something called aflatoxins, tiny toxins that your liver has to work extra hard to clear out. For a senior body already juggling hormone shifts, slower detox pathways, and immune changes, it can be a lot. Now, don't worry. We're not here to demonize every nut. This is about being smart and informed, not scared, because here's the good news. Just as some nuts can cause problems, others can solve them. And when you know the difference, you can snack in a way that feels good, fuels your energy, and supports your overall health. One of the most underrated stars? Walnuts. These little brain-shaped beauties are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, an essential fat that most of us just don't get enough of, especially as we age. Omega-3s support brain health, reduce joint pain, and help calm inflammation in the body. If you're concerned about memory, mood swings, or stiff knees, adding a few walnuts to your day might be more powerful than you think. And speaking of powerhouses, we've got to talk about almonds, but with a twist. Not everyone realizes that raw almonds and roasted almonds have different effects. Raw almonds, especially when soaked overnight, are gentler on digestion and easier to absorb. They're loaded with magnesium, which helps with muscle cramps, sleep, and even stress, all things many of us struggle with more in our 60s and beyond. So while cashews and peanuts might be sneaky culprits behind some of your discomfort, almonds and walnuts can quietly become your best friends. It's all about listening to your body and giving it what it really needs, not just what the package label claims is healthy. And let's be honest, no one taught us this stuff growing up. We've had to learn as we go, figuring out how our bodies shift with every decade. But knowledge is power, and just a few simple changes, like swapping out one kind of nut for another, can ripple into better energy, smoother digestion, and less pain in your day-to-day life. Now that we've opened the door to understanding how different nuts can affect us after 60, let's go a little deeper. Because it's not just about choosing the right nuts, it's also about how much, how often, and even how you eat them. The details matter more than we think. Take Brazil nuts, for instance. These are a bit of a hidden gem when it comes to senior health, but they come with a big warning label, one that many people have never heard. Brazil nuts are extremely high in selenium, a mineral that supports thyroid function and may help protect against cognitive decline. That sounds like a win, right? It is, but only in moderation. Just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day gives you more than enough selenium. Any more and you could actually tip into toxic territory, leading to symptoms like fatigue, digestive issues, and even hair loss. So with Brazil nuts, a little goes a very long way. Then there's macadamia nuts, the luxurious buttery nuts often found in white chocolate cookies or trail mixes. Here's the surprise. They're one of the best nuts for seniors. Why? They're low in omega-6 fats, which in excess can cause inflammation, and high in monounsaturated fats, the same kind found in olive oil. These fats support heart health and can even help keep cholesterol in check. For anyone watching their numbers or trying to avoid statins, a small handful of macadamias now and then might be just the thing. But let's not forget how portion size plays into all of this. As healthy as nuts can be, they're still calorie dense. And when metabolism slows after 60, the extra handfuls can add up fast. You might think you're making a smart choice by snacking on almonds instead of chips, and you are. But if you're eating triple the portion, it might not be doing you any favors. The goal isn't to cut out fat, it's to balance it. A small serving of the right kind of nut is like fuel for your body. Too much though, and it becomes stored energy, especially around the belly, which is where many of us start to gain weight after midlife. Another layer to this conversation is how your body digests nuts over time. Many people over 60 notice they can't tolerate certain foods like they used to. Gas, bloating, or that heavy feeling after eating can be linked to how well your body is breaking down fats and fiber. Nuts, being rich in both, can either support your digestion or slow it down, depending on the state of your gut. That's why soaking raw nuts overnight and then drying them can make a huge difference. It breaks down some of the phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors, making them easier to digest and their nutrients more available to your body. There's also the hidden ingredient no one talks about, added oils. So many packaged nuts, especially roasted or flavored varieties, are cooked in inflammatory oils like canola, soybean, or sunflower. These oils can cancel out the health benefits of the nuts themselves. That's why it's so important to check the label. You want nuts that are raw, dry roasted, or roasted in heart-healthy oils like olive or avocado oil, nothing else. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being informed. If your knees ache more than they used to, if you're feeling foggier in the afternoons, or if your weight seems to creep up no matter what, you don't need to overhaul your whole diet overnight. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as swapping that jar of honey-roasted peanuts for a bag of dry-roasted macadamias, or keeping a small stash of walnuts in your fridge to toss on a salad or mix into oatmeal in the morning. Food is powerful, and the more we tune into how it makes us feel, not just what marketing tells us, the more we can reclaim that feeling of vitality we might have thought was long gone. Now that we've looked at which nuts can support your health and which might be doing more harm than good, let's talk about the bigger picture, how these small choices fit into a lifestyle that actually feels good. Because when you're over 60, your body starts speaking in a new language. The little aches, energy dips, changes in weight, changes in sleep, they're all signals. And what you put into your body, even something as small as a handful of nuts, can shift how loud or quiet those signals become. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is choosing nuts that support brain function. And this is where pistachios come into the spotlight. They don't get as much love as almonds or walnuts, but pistachios are rich in antioxidants and vitamin B6. Two things your brain thrives on, especially as you age. B6 helps with neurotransmitter function, which affects everything from mood to memory. And unlike some of the heavier nuts, pistachios are a bit lower in fat and higher in fiber, which makes them satisfying without being overwhelming on your digestion. If you're someone who battles late-night cravings or feels foggy in the afternoons, a small serving of pistachios might actually help more than that second cup of coffee. But just as important as what you eat is how you eat it. Nuts should be a part of a rhythm, not an afterthought. Keep them visible but portioned, maybe in a small jar on the counter or a pre-portioned container in the fridge. When they're part of a routine, like a handful with your morning tea or tossed into a salad at lunch, they become a healthy habit instead of a mindless snack. And don't underestimate the importance of variety. Our bodies thrive on diversity, especially when it comes to nutrition. If you've been eating almonds every day for years, it might be time to rotate in some walnuts or macadamias. Not just for different nutrients, but to reduce the risk of overexposing yourself to one particular compound. Something that becomes more relevant as our bodies get a little more sensitive over time. Now, all this said, the takeaway here isn't to obsess over every bite, it's to become more tuned in. If a certain nut makes you feel bloated, achy, or just off, it's okay to listen to that. Your body is wise and it wants to feel better. Sometimes that means making small, simple swaps that add up to big changes. Not overnight, but gradually in a way that feels doable and sustainable. And honestly, that's the secret no one tells you about aging well. It's not about cutting everything out or following some rigid plan. It's about paying closer attention, adjusting with compassion, and giving your body the support it needs right now, not what it needed 20 years ago. So the next time you reach for a snack, just pause and ask, is this nut helping me? Or is it hurting me a little more than I realized? That tiny question might just be the beginning of feeling stronger, clearer, and more energized than you have in years. If today's video sparks something for you, maybe a realization or even just a curiosity, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Share your favorite go-to nut, or if there's one you're thinking of swapping out after watching this. Your experiences help others too. And if this video helped you, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more people find this kind of helpful, honest content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're just getting started on this journey together. Here's to living smarter, feeling better, and thriving at every age, because aging isn't about decline, it's about becoming more intentional with every choice, even the ones as small as the nuts on your plate.